Man, I feel like we're just getting revved up. We're so close to the trade deadline. It might take a while to get there, but man, it's coming. And Frank, you have a new top five. Hampus Lindholm, come on down. Yeah, he's not only joined the list, but he's in at number five, Frank. Give us the latest on what's going on in Anaheim.
Well, discussions continue between the Anaheim Ducks and Hampus Lindholm's camp, initiated by Pat Verbeek, their new GM, about 10 days ago. And I would say at this point, with 13 days left, the reason why he joins our trade targets board is for two reasons. One, I can identify that at least a couple NHL teams have made Hampus Lindholm one of their top priorities at the deadline. He's rocketing to the top of some lists in terms of their interest in potentially trading for him should he ultimately become available. So the interest is there on that side. And the other part of it is the really simple comments from Pat Verbeek, just about, a week or so ago saying, if these guys are not signed, we're not in a position with our franchise, with the Anaheim Ducks, as we continue to build, to keep these guys past the trade deadline and then potentially not get much or anything for them in the hopes that we're going to try and catch one of these last wildcard spots. Pat Verbeek has come into this with a realistic approach. And while they continue to try and hammer out an extension for Hampus Lindholm, who teams see as someone that's a real solid defender, can obviously skate, is smart with the puck, but doesn't necessarily have the offensive flair or the production in his game, that he'd be a perfect fit for a number of playoff teams. So this is one of those things that is continuing to drag on. And the longer it does, or I guess I should say, until Hampus Lindholm is signed with the Anaheim Ducks, I give it about a 50-50 chance that he stays or goes, that at this point, he's going to be on our board for the long haul.
There's been a lot of buzz about the goalie market, Frank. You know I always have my eye on it. We've wondered all season long. Edmonton. What might Toronto do? Other teams that are out there. Do you have a new name to add to the discussion that may be available on the goalie market?
I do, and this may surprise some people, but it's Mackenzie Blackwood from the New Jersey Devils. He's obviously been out since late January with a left heel injury, and he's been working his way back. He's probably somewhere around a couple weeks away. But the point, I think, aside from, you can put the injuries aside, I think the New Devils have significant marks out Mackenzie and his long-term future with the team, mostly based on that his game, even when he was healthy, wasn't really at the level that they felt like they wanted it to be or needed it to be. And I think they're curious as to whether he can get back to that level. You think back to the way that he burst into the league, his first 70 or so games, a .916 save percentage. And you look at his last 2 years, he's really struggled. He's sub 900 this year, an 894 mark, 902 last season in 35 starts. So he's someone whose game has been trending in the wrong direction. And, I'd be real curious to see whether one of these teams that's looking for a goaltender that potentially is even looking for someone a bit more of a long-term fit than just short-term when it comes to these playoffs, that Blackwood could be someone that stands out.
Hard to believe for a goaltender that some had pegged for potentially being on the Canadian Olympic team had the players been able to go over to China. And we'll see what happens with Mackenzie Blackwood in New Jersey. Frank, we've talked about some players that have moved up on your list, others that have moved down, but who has fallen the most on your trade targets board?
It would be the two guys from the Dallas Stars that were getting so much attention months back. I mean, think back to December and all the talk about John Klingberg and him vocally coming out and say, hey, this hasn't worked out on the extension front with the Dallas Stars. Well, I'd perhaps like to explore my opportunities elsewhere. And you love the passion that Klingbgerg has shown. And I think ultimately the Dallas Stars would like to make his wish come true had they not gone on an absolute tear. And they've been one of the best teams in the National Hockey League since February 1st, fourth best record and points percentage. They've been in talks with Joe Pavelski. So those guys are plummeting on the list. I have no indication, absolutely zero, that either Klingberg or Pavelski is available unless the wheels fall off in Dallas and they fall out of the race. Those are two guys that are not going to be on the move before March 21st.
Lots remains to be seen in Dallas, Frank. That's a team that I've had my eye on. I think they are as interesting as can be. Great job today, as always. Next, moving on here. Remember, delivered by DoorDash, DFO DD in Canada, DFO DD US in the United States, that will get you 25% off your first order and free delivery. So thanks once again. Thanks for taking a look into the Trade Targets board.